Welcome back to our Strongman Weekly Roundup, and we're going to start things off with a world record. So Auntie Liz, Nicole Genrich, who is just dominating the women's scene in Australia, she actually came third at the World's Strongest Woman at the end of last year as well. She has become the first woman ever to lift a 180 kilo Atlas stone. Yeah. She also broke the women's Australian log record the same weekend, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. Yeah, so 122.5 kilos, I think that log was. But yeah, Big G, she's on an incredible run right now. And I've said it once and I'm going to say it again. I really, really want to see her at these big international competitions like the Arnold's and the Rogue Invitational that's coming
She's
up.
Definitely proven that she is one of the absolute elite when it comes to the women's side of the sport. So yeah, 100% needs to be invited to the big shows. So a man that a lot of people talk about that should be invited to some of the big shows is Peyman Mehedapuri from Iran. He has pulled 485 kilos recently at an Iranian deadlift championships. Now, massive weight. The guy, we've spoken about it, other people have spoken about it. He hasn't been able to get over to the likes of World's Strongest Man or the Deadlift World Championships. And we think there's more to it than just the invite issue, don't we?
Oh no, we know that the organisers have tried to get him a visa to these places. Obviously, we don't know exactly what the barrier is with his visa.
There's something that's holding it back. I don't think it's quite as simple as just he can't get a visa. There's a deeper issue to this right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's a simple fact of he's Iranian, because we know that, I mean, he's travelled to the USA before, granted that was quite a few years ago now, but there seems to be an issue with getting him a visa. And it's such a shame because he really seems to be in peak condition right now, and we all want to see him up against the very best other guys.
What I want to see is him against the best, because we've seen athletes that do incredible things in their own country or on their own equipment, but when we can get them all together, that's when you really find out who's the best, and he at least deserves that opportunity. So if anyone out there really understands these things and they think they could help, make sure you comment below, because it would be so good to get Peyman over to these big shows.
So we have some competition results from last weekend, starting with the Strongman Champions League in Serbia, which was won by Kane Francis. This is his second Strongman Champions League win, so nice international win for Kane there. Yeah,
Kane is on a roll, and actually this was a really tight competition, chopping and changing all the way through.
Weird results actually on some of the events, like the truck pull. So it was a 25-metre course. The winning distance was 4 metres, so we're guessing that was a tough old truck pull.
Yeah, and look, truck pull is not something that you can prepare for like a deadlift.
No.
There are so many factors that come into this, and I've had that experience of competing so many times. You go to one comp, the truck pull's super easy and you just pull it fast. The next comp, it's just incredibly heavy. You've got to focus a lot more on double stance pushes, really just trying to get the truck rolling a little bit. And obviously the advantage comes when you get to go towards the end on those type of events, because you've already seen what the other athletes do. So that can be a factor, but that regardless of that, amazing performance by Kane. He'll be super happy to take his second international win.
In second place was Faith Karaka, who represents Turkey. And interestingly, he came second in the same competition last year in Serbia.
He likes competing in Serbia.
It suits him.
Yeah.
And then in third place was Evans Nana, with a nice another podium for him.
It's always good to see Evans doing well.
So also last weekend, probably a lesser known competition, was the Lithuanian World Cup, which is put on by Zydrunas Savickas. And that was won by Tim Buck from the USA. We've met Tim before at
Yes,
OSG.
seen Tim a few times, and a rising US star. And yeah, great to come over to Europe, especially a competition. There were 7 events in this competition, all done in about 3.5 hours.
Zydrunas doesn't mess about.
He does not mess about. And fast-paced competition. Well done to Tim taking the win at that one.
So we've also now got the full lineup for the 2024 North America's Strongest Man. So this is a competition put on by JF Karan. There's so many of these competitions now that athletes are putting on themselves, and this is a notoriously tough one.
Well, JF's put this on for a good few years now, and he makes it hard and heavy, just the way JF liked it. And it's a fantastic lineup.
It's such an interesting mix of athletes, so let's quickly go through it. So starting off, we have Maxime Boudreau, who's obviously podiumed before at the World's Strongest Man and won the Magnus Berg Magnuson Classic. Tristan Hoth, I'm really excited to see compete again. He came 5th at his first ever World's Strongest Man this year. And in that same vein, Wesley Dwinski, who ended up in 6th place this year at Worlds.
I think we're going to see a few battles between these guys this year. There's a number of competitions they're both doing. It's going to be a busy year for them, but yeah, this will be a good one. And obviously on home turf as well. Then we have Lucas Hatton, the man that really impressed at the Arnold's UK earlier this year. Lots of people talking about him. Excited to see how he does. Again, one of these up-and-coming rising stars of the sport, and a great opportunity for him to really showcase what he's all about. Marcus Crowder, fresh off his first World's Strongest Man competition, he's going to be taking part in this one. And Kevin Ferris competing here as well. I've seen his training. He's working really hard trying to bring back the best Kevin. And I think what happens with a lot of the top athletes, you end up getting invited to everything. And then it's hard to progress, and you almost come backwards a little bit because your body gets beat up. And then sometimes when you're allowed that little bit of a rest and you have to kind of work your way back up, that's when you can get back into top shape. So I hope we can see that from Kevin this year.
And the thing with Kevin as well, we shouldn't forget, he used to be an under 105 athlete, and then you find yourself in these lineups like in the Arnolds where there's only 10 guys and 10 of the absolute best guys in the world.
We see it a lot. When you're going to break into that top 10 and you're invited to go against the absolute best week in, week out, you just like, people start saying, oh, he's rubbish.
Yeah, but it's
and
like,
it's just not the case. Still an incredible strongman, but you're up against the absolute best. These are the shows that Kevin needs, and I think this is where we're going to start seeing Kevin come back, because he's got certain events he's unbelievable at.
Now, one person I'm really excited to see in this lineup is Andrew Clayton. He is a multiple-time under 105 world champion, and he has done open weight, heavyweight competitions before, so a very intense athlete as well. I never forget at Clash on the Coast his win there. So yeah, excited to see Andrew compete.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Andrew. He's an amazing athlete, very intense, like you say, but smart, hard-working, and he's competed at a very, very high level in the open class before. Has done some monstrous cuts to make it down to 105. He's kind of more in the middle. He's like a under 120 rather than under 105 athlete. That would be the perfect weight class for him, but very dangerous, very smart, and yeah, can't wait to see how he does.
And we also have Spencer Remick, winner of the official Strongman Games 2022. I'm not sure how to pronounce the next man's name. It's either Simon Pratt or Simon Pratt.
Simon, make sure you're correct.
Simon, I'm so sorry. He's Canada's strongest man, so I should know.
when you're Canada's strongest man, there's one thing you know: you are good. Because there's so many great Canadians right now.
Regardless of how I say your name.
2 more Canadians in Joey Lavelli and Frederick Graham. Frederick Graham, one of the Graham brothers.
Strong family. We also have James Jeffers, who is Western Canada's strongest man, and Nick Wortham, who he did a Strongman Champions League earlier this year, the Iceman competition. He came second. Yeah. Canadians are not scared of ice.
And finally, we have Jasper Haney and Bryce Johnson. Amazing lineup. A couple of athletes I haven't seen before. Look forward to seeing them, obviously, but a very, very strong lineup.
An interesting mix of athletes. I'm excited to see this one. It's no matter what, it's going to be a really tough competition.
It'll be a tough comp, and honestly, whoever comes in the top 5, they are elite level athletes. You know, this is a stacked competition. It really is. North America right now, particularly in Canada.
We're seeing the growth in Canada really rapidly all of a sudden.
The US was dominant in terms of, you know, the athletes a few years back, but I think Canada's almost taking over. There's still obviously some great athletes in America as well, but Canada is probably getting to that point where they are the dominant nation at the moment.
Oh, wow, you're going to start something, Lozzie. I'm not getting involved.
Well, obviously, apart from the UK, but...
And finally, on the Stoltman Brothers YouTube channel, I think it was last week, time is slipping away from me, Luke Stoltman unfortunately announced that he is having to pull out his next competition, the Giants Live Strongman Classic, due to a small tear in the tendon of his bicep. I think I'm describing that correctly. It's not a complete rip, so it's not something like you'd get reattached with surgery.
He needs to be careful, because obviously he could end up tearing the whole thing. Yeah. So he's taking a little bit of time off to rehab that. Smart move, you know, you can't just keep competing all the time. You need to look after the body. You go from what could be like a 3-month rehab to a 9 or a year, you know, rehab. A 9 month or a year. So Luke, being smart, needs to be at this stage of his career. He's had a great year so far, so obviously he still has goals for later in the year that he wants to focus on. he needs to be smart and pick and choose the shows.
Yeah, so we wish him the best of luck with his recovery. But I think that's everything, Lasse.
There's always things happening in the strongman world. If you'd like us to report on your shows, please send us information through. I've seen people say, why didn't you report on this show? The honest answer is sometimes we just don't even know that some shows are going on. So, you know, feel free to send us information. I know that we've got Magnus Ver Magnussen's Iceland Strongest Man happening this weekend. Chaos have just announced an amazing competition that they're going to be running later in the year with some really, really good athletes putting up their own prize money. Chaos doing a lot to try and grow the sport at all levels, so fair play to them.
Chaos must be the hardest working promotion team in Strongman. Almost every single weekend they are doing something.
They are, so yeah, doing a good job there. But yeah, if you want us to kind of showcase your events that are coming up, please send us through and we will try and feature them in our news videos.
So if you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our updates, and we will catch you guys next time.